wrong place.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Anime Expedition. We are currently in Ryokan Yamazaki on the outskirts of Kyoto. Although not a traditional ryokan, it's still a beautiful place to stay, especially if you're on a budget. To kick off our Kyoto adventure, we've woken up bright and early and are about to head to the world-famous Dimachi Yanagi shopping street, which is what the Usagiyama shopping arcade from Tamako Market was based off of. After a quick nap on the bus, I was feeling refreshed and ready to expedite. I was ready to weeb it up, but as we were getting off the bus, we spotted something that looked familiar, so we pulled up a clip from Tamako Love Story on Ari's phone. We were just on the way to the market from Tamako Market when we stumbled across the bridge with the rocks where Mochizo does his little confession.
I've fallen in love with you.
What? A few of the shots seemed to be from out in the middle of the river, but I didn't exactly feel like going for a swim. Luckily the river was quite low, so there was a little island sticking out that I could make it onto without getting wet. This area is called the Kojinbashi Bridge, and it's definitely a cool place to hang out on a nice day, especially since the Tamako Market shopping arcade is only a 15-minute walk away, and word on the street is they make some pretty good mochi. Turning the corner into the shopping street, the first thing we noticed was... The fish isn't here?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a big paper fish.
The fish might not be real. Although not an exact replica like the aquarium from Snafu or the cafe from Your Name, this place still felt like we were walking through the Usagiyama shopping arcade. There were several of the same shops like this florist, and yes, eventually we did manage to find the giant fish. Tamako's house turned out to be real, and it was actually even a mochi shop. After indulging in some fresh-made mochi, we hit up some tourist destinations and grabbed some sushi before beginning the next leg of our expedition. One of my favorite anime of all time is a slice-of-life romance called Tsuki ga Kirei. Although mainly set in Kawagoe, a city near Tokyo, which we actually end up visiting later on in the expedition, the characters do take a field trip to Kyoto, so our goal for the rest of the day was to follow in their footsteps and visit the same tourist destinations that they did. guessing this is the place. Oh, yeah. This is when he asks her to spend time with him on a field trip. Now to find Ari.
The mannequin I thought I saw was a woman mannequin.
I know it looks nice out, but this is probably the strongest and coldest wind I've ever had the honor of being blown. One of the first locations that the Tsuki Kirei characters visit is another shopping street called Tamako Market, which is located in downtown Kyoto and features over 100 shops and restaurants. The problem with it being so busy is, one, it's impossible for me to get the shots, and two, I constantly lose track of Ari. I have no clue where he went. From here, the students make their way to a cluster of shrines on the east side of Kyoto. The show features a ton of beautiful establishing shots of the city that, although were not on our itinerary, I couldn't help but recreate a few. Before I knew it, the sun was setting, and I had only scratched the surface for shots I planned to get today. So I said sayonara to Ari and broke out into a jog towards the nearest shrine. Recognizing the gate, I headed inside. After exploring for a little while without recognizing any locations, I came to the conclusion that
I don't think this is it. I think I'm at the wrong place.
extremely disappointed that I had wasted even more precious daylight, I lost sight of the fact that even though things weren't going according to plan, I was still walking through an unbelievably beautiful and historic shrine in a city that I've always dreamed of visiting. Rather than enjoying the moment, I made a beeline for Matsubara Dori Street, which was the real Tsuki Kirei location I had intended to film. The journey was almost entirely uphill and took around a half hour, so by the time I started to recognize the area, my legs were killing me, I was out of breath, and the light was almost completely gone. The area from Tsuki Kirei was already closed for the night, so I had no choice but to accept defeat. With my tail between my legs, I met back up with Ari and walked around the shrines.
What's up? Oh. A dog barked at me.
A dog barked to you?
A big one. Wow. You went on an adventure, didn't you?
I did.
By the time we reached the peak, I had completely forgotten about the expedition and was rendered speechless by the awe-inspiring view of the city below me. Despite everything, it had turned out to be one of my favorite nights in Japan. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to like and subscribe because next week is the grand finale of Anime Expedition. Rather than being based on specific shows, it will be several miscellaneous locations we found, as well as footage from our time in Osaka and at the Studio Ghibli Museum, so you definitely won't want to miss that. If you'd like to see the comparison shots from this video in more detail, I've uploaded 2 separate compilations for each show. Links to those, as well as the Patreon for Anime Expedition Season 2 will be in the description below.